Today we found out a little bit more about Kash Patel's drinking problem. It's pretty interesting. So we got a bombshell report from the Intercept that Kash Patel was arrested for public urination after a night of drinking. Now this is insane and you're going to want to stick around with today's show. First I want to talk about the Atlantic article. If you remember a couple days ago, we talked about an Atlantic article where they accused him of 17 different issues with drinking. I'll have that linked up in this corner, I'm not quite sure yet. But you should go check that out for sure if you don't know what it's about. And then 2 days after that, Kash Patel did sue them, and that's not going to go anywhere for him. I talked about that in the video. You should go check it out. I'm not going to talk about it here too much, but today we're going to talk about today's article from The Intercept where Kash Patel was arrested for public urination after a night of drinking. Now, this was in 2005, but I do think it's important to talk about as this is unbecoming of the FBI director, so we will be talking about that right now, and yes, let's get right into it. Before I start reading, please like and subscribe. It helps out the channel quite a lot, and it goes a long way to support independent media for free. So, I appreciate you in advance. Alright, let's get right into it. So, the article says that director Kash Patel was twice arrested in incidents involving alcohol, once for public intoxication, and once for public urination after leaving a bar, which he admitted in a 2005 letter about disclosures on his Florida bar application. So the letter was obtained by The Intercept and was part of Patel's personnel file at the Miami-Dade Public Defender's Office where he once worked. The document was written per the instructions of my employer and describes incidents of alcohol-related indiscretions not uncommon for those in their teens and 20s. Now, 2 decades later, as Kash Patel pushes back on these allegations that drinking is impairing his leadership of one of the nation's top law enforcement agencies, those arrests show how Patel's alcohol use has been subjected to scrutiny before his professional life. One incident recounted by Patel occurred in 2005, about 4 months before he wrote the letter. At the time, he was a law student at Pace University in New York, celebrating with his friends. Quote, "We went to a few of the local bars and consumed alcoholic drinks," he wrote. "When they walked home, they made a bad decision. Quote, in a gross deviation from the appropriate conduct, we attempted to relieve our bladders while walking home." I mean, that's a funny way of saying public urination. He probably peed in a trash can. I mean, it's kind of unbecoming of the director of the FBI to even like blow off a crime like that. Patel said in his letter, "Before we could even do so, a police cruiser stopped the group. We were then arrested for public urination," which is unsurprising. Patel paid a fine after the incident, and he wrote in a letter. I'm not going to read that whole letter, but you can pause right here to read that. Okay, you paused and probably liked. Sorry. I'll stop pushing it. Quote, "Kash's entire background was thoroughly examined and vetted prior to him assuming this role," said Erica Knight, a spokesperson for Patel. Quote, "These attacks are nothing more than an attempt to undermine a process that has already been deemed him suitable to serve and a distraction to the record-breaking success of the FBI under Director Kash Patel." I'm not sure what positive records they've broken. I mean, I know they've covered up for a pedophile, multiple pedophiles, probably a lot of pedophiles, and a whole lot of other stuff that it's not our time to get into right now, but we should talk about it someday, maybe tomorrow. I don't know about that line is the main thing. Quote, "Upon exiting the arena," he wrote, quote, "the officer placed me under arrest for public intoxication as I was not yet 21 years of age." So he was also drinking underage. I mean, underage of 21, who's obviously in college, so he's probably over 18. That could be verified. So not only was he doing that, but he was also like, that's just crazy, man. That's just insane. Patel said in his letter that he'd had 2 drinks and had paid a fine following the arrest. According to NBC News, which previously reported on his 2001 intoxication arrest, Patel was found guilty on a misdemeanor charge days after the incident. What that means is not only was he, doing some public urination while intoxicated publicly, but this is his second time doing it. Underage, nonetheless. I mean, that's just crazy, Leader of the FBI. In a normal political landscape, this would be the end of his career, and I think we should go back to those times. Anyway, to continue, Patel's letter about the Florida bar disclosures has not been previously reported. The Intercept obtained Patel's personnel file through a public records request with the Miami-Dade Public Defender's Office, where Kash Patel was hired on a $40,000 salary after being admitted to the Florida bar. Quote, both of these incidents are not representative of my usual conduct and behavior, he wrote to conclude the letter. You know, when you're arrested for underage drinking in public twice, I feel like maybe your character should be involved there, especially with the 17 other reports that have come out with the Atlantic's bombshell article, which he didn't like, so he's suing them for it. So I think it does. I think it fully does, and I think you should tell me in the comments whether you agree with that statement or not. Okay, so 20 years after writing this letter, Patel became the 9th director of the FBI. His tenure has been marked by controversies, not surprising, including over the firing of agents who worked on the investigations of President Donald John Trump, who the use of his government jet, so kind of like him going to Milan. Here, let me just play the clip right there. Crazy. He's acting like a frat boy, you know, not unlike underage drinking. He's acting like a frat boy. I mean, I don't even know why he used taxpayer dollars to go celebrate with the men's hockey team. Kind of crazy to me. I think he's a child. Quite frankly, I think he's a child. And his lawsuits filed by his girlfriend Alexis Wilkins over false claims that she's a former Mossad agent. Jesus Christ, guys. Jesus Christ. If this was like any other president, this would be an Onion article. This would be like, The Intercept would now be known as The Onion. Like, Alexis Wilkins sued him over false claims that she is a former Mossad agent. What are we doing, y'all? Pressure mounted with a report in The Atlantic alleging, through numerous sources, that Patel had been intoxicated at the social club Ned's in Washington and the Poodle Room in Las Vegas, which is something I covered in the video that's, again, going to be linked right here. The Atlantic reported that Patel's drinking is a reoccurring concern across the government, and excessive drinking claims are fabricated, says Patel's lawyer, Jesse R. Binal. Quote, I have never been intoxicated on the job. That's why we filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit, Patel said in a press conference on Tuesday. Quote, and any of you who wants to participate, bring it on. I'll see you in court. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of insane. I'm not sure if I sounded terribly cohesive in this video, but we'll be back to normal tomorrow. I just had to get this video out because that's just insane. And there's one more thing I wanted to talk about before I let y'all go, and that's Donald Trump's Truth Social post today. So we're going to take a look at that. We're not going to go so in depth with that, even though it was something of a 2 a.m. meltdown from him. And I would like to look at those. We're not going to look at the rest of them. I just want to look at his 2 a.m. meltdown tweets. So first at 2 a.m., we have this tweet that Trump reposted by Juliet Schwartz. Sounds like a pretty official person, you know. Really glad we're getting the information from the right people. So it says, Hillary Clinton funded and approved and created the Steele dossier. Barack Obama called the shots, and Brennan's CIA did the dirty work. The evidence is clear. Treason was committed, and now they must pay for it or they will do it again. Americans demand it. Now, I'm an American, and I don't demand it. I don't think they're traitors, and I think anybody who does could use with higher education a little bit. And when I say higher education, I mean like middle school would be great. We'll get to the implications about that a little bit later. I just want to talk about this other one that he posted by Steve Rambert with no profile picture. You know that means he's so tough. He said, at Barack Obama, I hope they arrest you before your grand opening of your war bunker in the south side of Chicago. You committed treason targeting the President of the United States with Hillary Clinton. It's time we prosecuted someone for treason and send a message. So actually, we should not do that because, you know, for those of you who don't know, treason comes with a mandatory sentence of death. And Barack Obama, and this is going to surprise you, Barack Obama has not done anything to deserve execution. I mean, neither has Hillary Clinton. This is just insane. I can't believe that Trump is putting a platform for calling for the execution of Barack Obama. I just want to put this in perspective for you. The President of the United States is calling for the death of a former president. What? I'm also excited to let you guys know that I got a new microphone. I got the Shure SM7DB. You might have seen this on Pac-Man's show and perhaps Harry Sisson. So, I mean, look at that. Yeah, got it for pretty cheap on eBay. So, better audio quality inbound, guys.